Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you so much for joining me again for another card making video using the Beautiful Butterflies bundle or combination of products. This is now on Last Chance, unfortunately, one of my absolute favourites, so I thought I'd bring you a card this week featuring this set along with the dies and the hybrid embossing folder. So it's worth having a look at the Last Chance now. There'll be some reductions in the prices of some of the items on there, so always worth having a quick look, see what's been added, and so this one is one of them. So lovely stamp set with some great sentiments, really useful. I've used the birthday and the thank you quite a bit, so we're just using the happy birthday today. And then there's this lovely shape to cut out the sentiments, and this lovely detailed butterfly. Okay, so we'll be using that today. And then this shape you can use on its own, but also coordinates with the, where's it gone? There it is, embossing folder. So this is a hybrid embossing folder, so you can cut and emboss all at the same time by placing your die into the folder, and it locks in place, and then it will cut and emboss those butterflies at the same time. Okay, so let's create. Okay, so I've gone with a really nice bright colourway for the sample card. Okay, so we've got Summer Splash and we've got Lemon Lime Twist with a little bit of pink blended onto the background just to give it something to ground. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to keep the Summer Splash, but we're going to make that the background. We'll use the pink but for the layer, and then we'll put in another colour in the background instead. Right, so that's what we're aiming for. So for the embossed butterfly, I'm just going to get some White Willow cardstock. I've got the folder in place there, and I'm going to lay that on top. This is a 4x4 piece, which just about fits. So we'll sandwich that together, okay, and then we'll run that through the cut and emboss. So you use the appropriate sandwich for the embossing folder. So this is a 3D embossing folder, so we're going to use our base plate with the grey number 4 plate as instructed on the base platform. So this is always there, you always use the base, and your instructions are always there, so you're not going to forget which sandwiches you need to use. Okay, dead easy. So we'll just run that through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss. If you've got another embossing machine, then just follow the instructions for that. So once we've run that through, we should have a die cut and embossed butterfly. Isn't that cool? Okay, and of course the background is really nice. I've used it as just a background panel and done inking over it and stuff, so it's a really nice folder anyway. But yeah, absolutely love it. Really nice set. So we're going to pop the die cutting sandwich back in. So die cutting is always the number 1, 2 and 3, so base, the die adapter, cutting plate, because we're going to use the detail die, and we're going to use some Petunia Pop. Now what I don't know is whether I want to use the light side or the dark side. I'm going to say let's use the light side, and then the ink will show when I put that on. Okay, so let's run that through. So I'm going to pop this through the machine as well. Ooh. So that will cut out beautifully when you get all these little bits and pieces. So use the cardstock just to loosen those, and then we'll just use a pokey tool just to press out those last little bits from the die cut. And then we'll be able to pop those into the bin. Okay, and then there's some release holes here, so it's really easy to get out of the die. No problem. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? That's going to lay out over the top of this. Okay, right, so we'll pop that to one side and I'll clean that, the rest of that out properly in a minute. We are going to need to die cut the sentiment, so I'm just going to clean off all that off the plate. And I think what we'll do is, let's just finish off the die cutting, shall we? We'll just use our happy birthday and we'll use our Memento ink. Just want to use plain black ink, which will offset the body of the butterfly, which is also going to be in black, which I've already die cut that. We're not going to die cut that again. So let's pop that onto this little offcut. This is just a scrap of cardstock. Perfect for sentiment, so I always just keep hold of these little strips so that I can do this kind of thing with them. And then we'll just die cut that out. So I'm just going to layer that over the top, get it centered, or as best you can anyway, and we'll run that through. Okay, so I'm going to pop that in at an angle and run that through, and then that's all the die cutting done. So that will come away nice and easy. There we are. Right, okay then, so if we come back to our butterflies, we just need some scrap paper. Forgot to get out. So we're going to add some ink to the embossing here just to emphasize that. So I've already used this brush to apply some ink to this butterfly, so there's going to be some residual ink on here, so I'm not going to go back to the ink pad. I'm just going to lightly run over this with the brush, which will pick out the detail but also add some colour generally. And I'm going to put a little bit more over the centre and the lower smaller wings. Just using that residual ink, okay, like so. Okay, so we've got that sort of gradient of colour, so I didn't apply any extra ink to that, I just used what was there. And I'm going to do similar with this. I'm going to grab this brush and again add a coat of ink over that butterfly, and you can see how much residual ink is on there. Now that's probably not going to show that great on the camera, but it just gives you that little bit of extra sort of detail, okay, on there, and when we layer them together it's going to be really nice and dramatic. Okay, so I'm going to line those up, so it's going to go on something like that. and then we'll put the black body over the top. Okay, so we'll just grab some wet glue for this, I think. So I'm only going to secure this in a couple of places, just so it doesn't end up getting caught on anything. About there. So it will still have a bit of lift and movement because it's not all stuck down all the way, but it's secure enough. Okay, and then we're just going to add a black body. Doesn't have to be black, of course. You could use any other colour. Oops, a daisy. That's a tipsy bottle of glue, and this should lay and match with the embossed butterfly underneath. So just line that up. Okay, and I'm just going to pop. Where did I put that? Okay, I'm going to grab a. Don't those colours look nice? I'm going to pop a block on there just to let that dry just for a second. So we're going to add stuff with dimensionals, so I'm going to actually double stack these. So I'm going to pop a dimensional down and then put another one on top. I'll do that on both ends. So he's going to give us double the dimension because we want this to go over the top of the butterfly. Okay, so that's already there. So the butterfly is going to be lifted up, but we'll also want that to go over the top as well. And by double stacking them, you give yourself plenty of room, and it won't end up bowing either in or out. It'll sit nice and flat. Okay, so that should be dry enough. And we'll just pop 4 dimensionals there. Again, not too close to the wings. If you want to bend them up and give it a bit more shape, you can. Obviously, if it's going through the post, that'll probably flatten a little bit, but if you want to do that, you can. So the card base is just plain. This is basic white thick cardstock. So if I'm making white card bases, I will always use the thick basic white, cut in half lengthways at 4 1/8, scored at 5 7/8 of an inch to make a top folding card. And I'm just thinking about what contrast colour to put on here, and I'm thinking orange. I don't use a lot of orange. So again, I'm just going to grab a brush, but not add any ink. I'm just going to use what's on there. There we go. Now I've already put some glue on this, so I don't want to. Yeah, that's cute. It's nice. Just gives it a glow. Bit of contrast. Okay, and we want to get that central. About there, and then a sentiment can just go across the bottom there. Again, looking to get it sort of central, like so, I think. Beautiful. Okay, and then the finishing touch is just going to be some iridescent pearls. So we'll just use 3 of those in the usual fashion, just to emphasize sentiment a little bit. Could use black neutral dots. They're also last chance items at the moment, the neutral dots. If you wanted to go with the black and bring that through, but I thought the pearls would look nice just to bring through some of that sort of purpley pinky kind of tones through that iridescent shine. Okay, so there we go. That's this combo. Really cute. Love it. You can't really go wrong with this set as far as I'm concerned. There's just so many ways you can use it, and it pretty much works with any color combination that you wanna work with. Okay, all right, that's it from me today. Nice and simple. Where are we now? It's the week before Christmas. I can't believe it's this time next week. We'll be in the throes of preparing for the big day, so it's all exciting. All getting very busy. Okay, still planning to come to you next week though, so that's still on the cards. Thanks ever so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and do stay safe, take care, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye bye.